everybody, my name is Ethan and I work at NKU at the Rec Center Pool, and today we're going to talk about how to do water chemistry. I know a lot of people probably haven't actually tested the water before and probably know very little about it, so we'll go over the basics of it. But I know a lot of people swim in the pool, so it's very important to know, so that way you're aware of things, so that way whenever you're swimming at the pool you have an idea of what the pool water is like and you know if it's safe or not to be in. So actually, in one of my pools that I worked at in the past, the chlorine actually spilled into the pool, and we had almost 180 gallons of chlorine get dumped into a little pool, and that pool was almost neon green by the time I walked into it, and it was disgusting. So in order to make sure that doesn't happen and it's a safe swimming environment for everyone, I want to make sure that everybody is aware of how to test the water. And it's a procedure that we do every shift at the beginning of the shift while we're here at the pool. It's one of the procedures that the lifeguard supervisor does, and they always go and record that afterwards, so that way I can go back and check it during the day and make sure that all of the chemicals are right, and if it's wrong that we go ahead and tell the maintenance guys so that way they can correct the chemicals. So I want to make sure that everybody's aware of that. So we're going to start off with checking the pH, and the pH is actually what affects your eyes. So if you had a lower pH, which would be like a 7.0, that one is going to cause more like skin irritation, and it can affect like the pool filter and things in a negative way. So it's not good for your pool to have a really low pH. Perfect pH is 7.4, and that's going to be the perfect pH for your eyes, and also it's the best pH for chlorine to be a good disinfectant. If the pH is too high, the chlorine won't be as good of a disinfectant, and it'll also irritate your skin a lot. So it's really important for the pH to be proper, and that's what people get mixed up, is because they think that the chlorine is actually what affects your eyes and your skin, and when in reality it's actually the pH. So we're going to go and practice, and we're going to check the chemicals. I have this comparator here, and we're going to use that to check the pH. So I'm going to go, and we're right here next to the pool. I'm going to get down really low, and I'm going to dip the comparator in, and I'm going to rinse it out about 3 times just to make sure it gets all of the other water and chemicals that we've used in the past in it. And then I'm going to reach all the way down to my elbow and get a whole thing of water. Now, on the side here, there's little markings, and we're going to go to the 44 milliliter mark here. So I'm going to shake it out just a little bit, so that way there's just 44 milliliters in it. And then I'm going to go and set it down so I don't spill any. And then I'm going to use this R004 pH indicator, this chemical, and I'm going to drop 5 drops into it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's also very important when you're dropping the chemicals in it that you turn it all the way upside down so it gets full drops, so that way you get the proper measurements. I'm going to also rinse out the cap, and then I'm going to put the cap on here, and then I'm going to invert it 3 or 4 times, and then we're going to look up at the pH and the little label here, and it looks to me that it's between 7.2 and 7.4, so it's probably closer to 7.2 right now, which still isn't terrible. Our goal is to get it at 7.4 though. So right now that's in the safe range. It's not the best range, but it's definitely not the worst either. So that one's okay. Now we're going to move on to the chlorine check. And with the chlorine, we're still going to go and rinse it out a little bit more. Then I'm going to go all the way down, get it. Now this one, we only need half of it filled up. So we're going to go to the 25 milliliter mark on here. So I'm going to go and dump it out, and the cheap way to do it is to look where the little air bubble is, and we go and stop it right when the air bubble reaches the end. That's exactly half. So then we should be right at 25 milliliters. And then we're going to use this powder, and I'm going to dump just a little bit of powder in here, and it should start turning the water pink, and that means that there is chlorine in the pool. Then I'm going to go invert this one 2 to 3 times. Alright. And I'm going to use RO871, which will react to this chemical and turn it clear. So I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So it's like 14 drops to get it clear. Now notice when I did that, I put the drops in and I stirred it up at the same time, so that way the chemicals would react with one another at the same time. So that's really important, so that way you don't put too many drops in and get the wrong calculation. So since it took 13 drops, the way to get the chlorine, you're going to multiply that number by 2, so that's 26, and you're going to add a decimal in between, so that's going to be 2.6. And our goal here is to have the chlorine above a 1, so we're in the good range for that one. So the state law says that we have to always have the chlorine above a 1.0, and right now it's 2.6, so that's really good to be able to disinfect any germs and bacteria that are in the pool. So right now we're good with both the chlorine and the pH, and then the final thing we're going to check is the alkalinity. So I'm going to go and rinse it out again. I'm going to reach all the way down and come up. This one, I'm going to use the 25 milliliter mark again. So dump it out halfway. Got it right at 25 milliliters. I'm going to set it down. Now this one has 3 different chemicals that I'm going to use. The first one is ROO7. I'm going to put 2 drops of this in. Alright, I put 2 drops of that one. Then I'm going to do 5 drops of ROO8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I'm going to put the cap on it, and I'm going to invert this one. And then I'm going to go and count how many drops of ROO9 to put in here to change it. It's going to turn from green to purple. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So it took 3 drops. So that means that the alkalinity is going to be at a 30 because you're going to multiply the amount of drops by 10. So right now it's at a 30, so that's a little bit low for our pool. This pool in particular, it needs to stay lower because we have a different type of filter in this pool that needs a lower alkalinity and a lower chlorine level than other pools like outdoor pools. And that one, it'll keep the filter running more efficiently if it's lower here. Now if it's higher, it means that the pH isn't affected as easily. So as the alkalinity gets higher, it should be around like 80, and ours is only around 30. So if it's up around 80, it means that the pH could be affected less. For like, say, patrons get in the pool and start swimming in it, and their body oils get in the pool water, it's going to be a little bit different, and it might affect the water differently and end up screwing up the pH and making it get thrown off a lot easier since our alkalinity is lower. Now luckily here at NKU we don't really have that big of a patron bather load, so we don't have that issue very often. But if it ever came up where we had a lot of people get in the pool, it would be affected a lot quicker than the other outdoor pools that have a higher alkalinity. So all of it really comes down at the end of the day to the pH and not really the chlorine. The chlorine is more used just as a disinfectant and uses to like get all the bacteria cleaned out of the pool and things that were on people's skin. So as long as the pH is good, that means that the chlorine will be very good to disinfect at a better rate rather than what it could do if the alkalinity and the pH are off. So I hope that that kind of explained everything to everyone, and I don't know if there's anything else or if anybody had any questions, but you can always feel free to ask me if you have any other questions. I hope you guys all learned something, and thank you. Have a great day.